Shavua Tov, everyone. Welcome to Tillus Tell Stories for Saturday night. The title of this week's video is The Volcano Blessing. I adapted it from the Hebrew report on the Chaderi Haredim website with help from the English version on the Dreaming of Mashiach blog. An eternal Todah to Chana Besser of Sfat of blessed memory for having submitted these links for my attention. The story begins in 2009 with a young yeshiva student, 18 years old, a resident of Jerusalem, who came down with a fulminate hepatitic failure and was mortally ill. The doctors agreed there was no hope for him unless he could receive a liver transplant. But there was little hope of receiving a liver transplant in Israel, so the family consulted with Rabbi Elimelech Fira, known for his successful record of medical referrals. The rabbi advised to send the boy immediately to Brussels, the capital of Belgium and its largest city, and more significantly, the world center of liver transplants. However, he cautioned that Brussels is known to not transplant non-European Union residents, patients that are not from the European Union under any circumstances, in order to save the scarce supply of livers for Europeans. Nevertheless, it was decided to send him to Brussels anyway, despite the full knowledge of the negligible chance of receiving a liver and the effort and expenses involved. It was the boy's last hope. Upon arrival, the young student had no choice but to add his name to the long waiting list for a liver transplant. In the meantime, he tried to maintain his yeshiva study schedule despite the illness, consciously aware that it could take weeks, months, even years, till he would be able to be given a new liver. Many patients were on the waiting list, and his name was somewhere on the bottom. And even should his turn finally arrive, the liver must match his blood type and other medical criteria. It is not a perfect, if it's not a perfect match, you will need to wait for more and more, longer and longer. A miracle. It needs a miracle. However, many thoughts in a man's heart, nevertheless the plan of God shall prevail. That's from the book of Proverbs 19:21, Mishlei. And it seems God had a different plan for this young Jew. In the month of Iyar, whose letters stand for the words Ani Hashem Rofecha, I, God, am your healer, the Almighty arranged a universal crisis. And erupting a volcano in Iceland produced avalanches of hot ash, rock, and gas in Ireland, in Ireland, right, and caused chaos across the European continent. Tens of thousands of people were stranded, and billions of dollars lost as all Europe completely shut down the skies and created a no-fly zone. No one could leave and no one could enter during this self-imposed embargo. Within all this tumult, a miraculous series of events began to unfold. Throughout this time, the religious boy from Jerusalem continued to sit in the yeshiva in the capital of Belgium, diligently learning Torah. In the midst of the closure, a man died in Brussels who had agreed to donate his liver to anyone who might need it. Astonishingly, this liver was a perfect match in every parameter for the young yeshiva student. The health authorities of Belgium began contacting the names on the liver transplant waiting list in order. But unfortunately for them, not even one patient was able to fly into Belgium for a desperately needed healthy liver transplant as a result of the after effects of the volcanic eruption in Iceland. As they advanced further on the waiting list, they reached a student from Israel. Nevertheless, they did not offer the liver to the boy because of his lack of citizenship. They continued down the list to the end. Meanwhile, the clock was ticking closer and closer to the deadline for the amount of time in which the liver would still be viable for transplanting. The precious, healthy liver must not be wasted and would have to be swiftly used to replace a diseased liver. but no one was able to arrive in Belgium for the transplant except the young Yerushalmi Bacher, the young yeshiva student from Jerusalem. So, thanks to clear divine intention, the dedicated young man from Jerusalem received the liver in the spring of 2010, and the liver transplant was successful. A miracle. But the enormity of this miracle became even clearer after the surgery. The doctor said that the young yeshiva student's liver was very deteriorated, very diseased, and in a matter of days, his liver would have stopped functioning completely. They were unanimous in the belief that if he had not received the transplant when he did, he would very soon after have been dead. The names of the patient, the hospital, and the doctors cannot be released because of the increasing strict laws about patient privacy. Hopefully, the young man experienced a speedy and complete recovery and will live long and healthy years. It would seem this young man was a very special person. I wonder what became of him. Also very special, perhaps even more special, are those souls who donate one of their own livers while they're still alive. 2 years ago, I posted and emailed the story of a Chabad Shliach who is also such a hero. If you wish to have it, send me a request for story number 1379. Shavua Tov. Have an outstanding week.